Hello and welcome to the Not Quite Scottish Football Show. I'm Gavin Crott. Each week I'll be joined by a guest whose interest in Scottish football is about as great as my interest in being factually accurate about it. In this week's edition, we'll be talking about Brendan Rodgers, who stands to go unbeaten for an entire season at Celtic. We'll also be reviewing the season from the perspective of our own teams, in my case Aberdeen and Arbroath, and in my guest case Manchester United and the mighty Blackpool. My aim is that this show becomes an interactive show, so if you have any content you would like to add to the show, suggestions, feedback or cruel abuse, you can direct it using our Facebook page, Not Quite Scottish. But for now, enjoy the show and thanks for listening. Okay, Luke, so you are somewhat awkwardly the first guest on the Not Quite Scottish Football Show.
Thank you very much.
And in time-honoured tradition, we're going to follow the Dutch World War II method of checking that you are really not Scottish. So I've given you 5 place names, and I would like you to try and say them in turn.
Place names?
Yes.
Oh, from where?
From the top.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant where in the world.
Oh, in Scotland.
Oh, I have no idea. What? They're actually place names now?
Yes.
They're real places?
They've not just vanished off the map.
I don't need to jumble the words around.
No, that's exactly how they're spelled.
Oh, right. Milngavie.
Okay, so that one would be Mulgai.
Okay. Kirkcudbright.
A good Tuchter guess, but that's Kirkcudbright.
Okay. Ballachulish.
Oh, very, very close. Ballachulish.
Collian.
That would be Culzean.
Kilconnan. Kilconquer.
That one, you're not far away in that you're miles away. That would be Canuka. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know either.
To be honest, giving away shop secrets, I didn't actually have a clue about that last one. So yeah, I think we established that you are not Scottish.
Definitely not Scottish.
Maybe mildly stupid as well.
Yeah. I agree.
So we can move on. Clearly not big on Scottish football. Which team do you support?
I'm a United fan, Manchester United, as the main one, but spent a lot of time watching Blackpool.
And what was it attracted you to the $1 billion enterprise trophy laid in Manchester United?
Probably, talking Scottish, probably Brian McClare was there.
Oh, interesting.
When I started watching, and a young Ryan Giggs.
So we've probably got the answer to my next question, which is who's the best Scottish player to represent your club?
Brian McClare for me.
Yeah.
But in more modern times, I think Darren Fletcher, even though I hated him at the beginning, I thought he was so, can I swear?
Of course.
Shite.
I always hated him when he played for Scotland. There was a period where he thought he was the talisman.
Yeah.
And we'd just lost James McFadden, and he tried to play as if he was James McFadden. But, it was piss. It drove me crazy.
I remember this one element that was it was a 4-yard pass. That's all he had to do was a 4-yard pass. He put it down. It was a free kick. He just had to pass it 4 yards, and he managed to kick it into touch. And it was just like the first or second season. I was like, for fuck's sake, this is shit.
He drove me, and he's good. Like, he's clearly had a good effect on Scotland, but just there was that little phase where he seemed to go through, I'm Mr. Scotland, and I hated it. Who is the worst Scottish player you've ever seen? Not necessarily for United.
That's a hard one. Personally,
as in shite.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, for example, someone who's got quite a few caps, probably about 46 caps, Sean Maloney. I didn't like him.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, I didn't think he was that good.
Maloney's a weird one because, again, like McFadden, kind of excellent for Scotland, probably didn't do as much as he should have, even though he was good at Everton, probably didn't do as much as he should have.
Yeah, I think he could have done. He was not a bad player, but I think what it was, probably, as you said, a bit like McFadden, is when you heard people talking about how good they were, and then you looked and you thought, well, they're quite average, really.
Yeah, I mean, McFadden, I only really saw in the flesh when he played for Scotland, and he saved all his best for Scotland, so it was a little easier for me. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how knowledgeable would you say you are about Scottish football?
-5.
-5, excellent. And if you could sum up your thoughts on the game in Scotland using 2 or 3 adjectives, what would you go for? And you can swear.
I'll give you a phrase rather than 3 adjectives.
Phrase is good.
Waste of time.
Okay, waste of time is fair enough. I think even some fans of our clubs will feel that way. Cool, okay, so let's make a start. So a little later, Luke, you're going to take the Manchester United Scottish quiz. But first we're going to get stuck into the first talking point. So while this podcast isn't going to make too much of a habit of sucking generously from the old firm titty, for the first episode we can't overlook, in Scottish terms, Brendan Rodgers' achievement of going almost completely unbeaten.
Sorry.
So I'm going with almost completely unbeaten in the hope that Aberdeen do him on Saturday.
I hope so too. It would be a great end to the season.
Indeed. But I don't know. I'm guessing, based on what you just said, your answer to this question might be quite predictable, but does he deserve the negative rap that he got whilst at Liverpool?
At Liverpool?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think Brendan Rodgers, I don't think he does deserve it. I actually think he wasn't a bad manager. He nearly won the league with Liverpool.
So what do you think went wrong?
Not winning the league.
Well, yeah.
I think the slip, Gerrard was there when he slipped, right?
That was the end of it, yeah.
And I think did he spend 2 or 3 years there?
I think, was he not there for part of the season? I can't recall. But yeah, it was into the next season that he left.
Yeah, and I think he did really, really well, but you can't lose a title. They should have won that title that year, and then they got beat by, obviously, Man United.
I mean, I have a running theory on this. While he's been at Celtic, when he has a news conference, he talks about the cathedral nature of the club, almost as if it's he says it himself, coming to work is like going to a cathedral, you know. And I wonder, like, if this is a lesson he's learned from Liverpool, because I don't want to tread on too many toes, but they can be a bit precious about history and their place in football, and I don't think he really massaged that at all. At Celtic, he's been doing it regularly, you know, like he talks about, as I say, the cathedral thing. He talks about the history of the club at every opportunity, almost in a fawning way. Yeah. And I think that was the mistake he made at Liverpool. Do you think going unbeaten in Scotland can salvage his reputation in England?
No.
No chance.
Scottish football, right? Like, no disrespect, but like.
Well, one of our
Ali McCoist did all right at Rangers, didn't he?
That's true.
You know what I mean? But I think he'll come back into. I think he will eventually come back into English football.
What do you? Where's his level?
No, any decent club in England would probably have him. Whether he's a top 6 manager in terms of a big club, it was the right choice for Liverpool at the time. Liverpool fans enjoyed it. They always say, a lot of friends of ours who are Liverpool fans now say, "Oh no, he wasn't the right man." But I remember sitting in a pub and then ranting how good he was. To be fair, he did a decent job at Liverpool. You know, I only don't like him because he was at Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of managers with a reputation needing salvaged, timely, David Moyes has quit as Sunderland manager.
He has, yeah. That's brilliant. I like Moisey though. I do like Moisey, and unfortunately, he took a team that was a poison chalice. Yeah. Do you both at United and Sunderland.
I was going to say, do you think his issue at Sunderland was that his reputation was destroyed at United?
Well, that you could argue that, but I would argue that Sunderland, like Aston Villa, have been on the brink of relegation every year.
Oh, for
Each year, they've become more and more dismal, and he shouldn't have taken that job. That is not a job. A Crystal Palace you can do because he has money.
Yeah.
And he's willing. He's always on about the ambition of Crystal Palace, and you would move forward with it. Swansea, decent squad, not too much money, but always had a decent squad. But Sunderland, you know.
I mean, last season, I found usually towards the end of the season with the English games, I will watch Sunderland a lot because it's like watching a military battle. They just go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's very violent, very aggressive. But yeah, this season there's not even been that.
But in terms of David Moyes at United, he should have been given him more time. I don't believe sacking him was the right thing to do. A massive thing was Mario Fellaini, 27.5 million.
Never been accepted.
Yeah, and I think a lot of United fans forget, though, in that season we didn't just lose Alex Ferguson, we lost our directors.
Yeah.
So we got all, like, Woodward, new, he was in...
Coaching staff as well.
Yeah, new coaching staff. I mean, we had Philip Neville, great player at United, won't criticise him, but I think he was assistant manager to Moyes.
It wasn't far off assistant.
Yeah, or like a first team coach.
Yeah.
Which is a decent player, but, you know, he's not... It's United. You don't get a man who's just 2 years older than Ryan Giggs, who was far better as a player.
Yeah.
Maybe ego problems, but yeah. But what he did at Preston and what he did at Everton, I mean, took Everton from pretty much relegation, even when Darren Fergie was there.
Yeah.
Duncan Ferguson, to a team that was hitting top 5.
I mean, I think with
did
Moyes,
they Champions League as well.
Yeah, I think they qualified, but did Liverpool not knock them out of it by winning the Champions League?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I think like with Moyes, I think he will do the same as Rodgers. I think he'll probably be Rangers or Scotland manager within the next like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
People bay for Strachan's blood.
Yeah.
You know, I can kind of understand it. He makes some very strange decisions. The team are shit. They're dreadful to watch. And it's not an attractive proposition. In the next podcast, I think we'll be talking about Scotland-England match.
Yeah.
And exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of reaction we'll be talking about. Who gives a shit? Okay, so we're going to move on anyway. Well, next up, it's time for the Manchester United Scottish quiz. Going to hit you with 5 teasers about your club, all of which are dressed in a heady dose of Scottish self-indulgence. So the first question. Leaving aside Sir Alex Ferguson, which Scottish manager had the best win percentage as Manchester United manager? Would it be Tommy Docherty, David Moyes, or Sir Matt Busby?
Matt Busby.
Okay. Which Scottish national scored the most goals out of any Scottish international for Man United?
Brian McClure.
Okay. Third question. Which keeper, affectionately known in Scotland as the goalie, played a handful of games for United in season 2000-2001?
Oh. I'm still having to think, and I still can't think of anything.
Okay. I'm going to give you the answer to that one, even though we'll do them at the end. It was Andy Gorham.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And who was Gorham's manager at Rangers, a man who would later become Fergie's assistant at Man United when they won the FA Cup in 2004?
And he's Scottish?
Yeah. He was a Scottish national manager.
Yeah.
Manager.
All I've got in my mind is, again, McClare, because he was doing the thing, but then it's...
He coached for a while,
He coached, didn't he? But...
this guy was all over English football for a long time.
I'm going through. Ridley Milstein was 2009, then we had Parks for a little bit.
It was a really unusual appointment, very left field.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass, Gav. Okay. I'll know it when you say their name.
Cool. So, discounting Gorham, only a handful of Scots have played for Man United in the Premier League, which likely explains their success. Can you name at least 3 of them?
Darren Fletcher, Brian McClare.
Yeah, you got it.
They're definite ones. And well, you've said one, Andy Gorham.
Aside from Gorham.
Oh, aside from Gorham. Who's another one to play? It'll be someone that we got rid of. I don't know.
I'm surprised your champ man days aren't coming back to the fore here.
I know.
Really young guy, ended up at Norwich, I think. And then there's a guy playing for Sunderland now who's played for Scotland.
Oh, yeah. This is what I mean, but they didn't say it probably at United that long, so we...
it's a handful of games, yeah.
I mean, there's been some young lads. Kenny Miller wasn't at United, I know that.
You're not far away, I think. I can't remember if the guy was Irish. I'll need to do my stats.
If I'm honest, all I can think of is Blackpool players because we had a load of Scots.
So you've been in that one?
Yeah, let's leave it. Sorry about that.
Okay, so the answers to that were, aside from Alex Ferguson, David Moyes had the best win percentage.
Yeah.
And the Scottish national who scored the most goals for United was indeed Dennis Law. Andy Gorham was the goalkeeper. Walter Smith was the assistant manager. And aside from Gorham, the litany of Scots you could have had were Scott McTominay, Donald Love, now of Sunderland, Phil Bardsley, I think, Sunderland. You could have had Michael Stewart, who's now a pundit in Scotland, Alex Notman, Colin McKee, who was shite for Kilmarnock, and the doozy of them all, the one you might have got, Darren Ferguson.
Oh yeah, of course, his son.
Yeah, a bit of nepotism at United, because I don't believe he was all that good yet.
No.
I think he has a league winners medal. Would that be right?
I have no idea.
No idea. I think he does though.
No
Frightening.
idea.
Okay, so that's the end of your Manchester United
Well,
quiz.
I did appalling there. Thank you very much, Gavin.
Okay, so next up we're going to review the season as for our two teams. In my case, 3. For me, it's been a good season. Arbroath won the Scottish Second Division. Good revenge for our manager, who was previously in charge of the team we were battling for the championship. He did his very best not to rub it in. He was going for a kind of get it right up. Yeah, it was nice to see him get some success anyway.
It was nice to see you smile for once. It's
been
an interesting year.
Well, they were shit. Like, at the start of the season, I went to see them with my dad and a couple of friends, and oh my god, people were, fuck off Campbell, all this stuff, man, but evidently turned it around.
Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, we've got this player called Ryan McCord. I was sad enough to sit and watch them on YouTube the day after the games, and yeah, this guy is good, man. For Aberdeen, our season, like United, really isn't over yet. They got the cup final on Saturday against Celtic.
Yeah.
Finished something like 3 million points behind Celtic in the league.
Yeah.
Although they claimed it was a close game the other day in the league, it was 3-0 after 11 minutes. Not looking forward to the cup final. I don't think Aberdeen have a hope. So, in my opinion, the season's already over.
And that'll be an unbeaten season completely for Celtic.
And with Man United, what's your thoughts?
Appalling. Genuinely appalling. Won the League Cup. Very nice. Obviously, final of the Euro against an Ajax team which are fantastic to watch, but they got pipped as well with Feyenoord.
It's one of those competitions like the Europa League, like the Champions League. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, we live in Hong Kong. It's on in the dead hours of the morning, but it just bores me to tears.
Absolutely, and then roll back 10 years where I think Liverpool won the Europa Cup or whatever it was called then, and the League Cup, and
2002.
And we Mickey taped them, and we called it Mickey Mouse Cup.
Yeah. Well, Arsenal are in. Arsenal's my English team, my TV team, and they're in that next season, and I hate that fact. And it's basically overnight they've become Spurs.
Yes.
Absolutely. Very, very scary to watch, but hopefully that will be arrested at the end of the season.
But I think, for United, I think regardless of their something like 25 or 28 game unbeaten run, 25 I think actually, most of them were draws, and most of them were draws at Old Trafford, and most of the games that I watched this season were at Old Trafford. And
did you stay up late at night to watch any games?
Yeah, quite a few. Mainly the big games, really. I think after watching United draw with Bournemouth and falling asleep at half time, I'd given up the goals.
You're not traditionally high scorers away from home against these.
No, very
top teams
true.
as well.
But at least we would play half decent football. It's been very narrow, nothing entertaining to watch. I mean, the fact that I'm having to watch Spurs to get a bit of entertainment.
A friend of mine said of Manchester United, he thinks Mourinho is trying to hammer home to the board the need to invest in new players, almost like he's doing it deliberately.
Yeah.
So every press conference he's saying like, well, we don't have the resources to play the way that other teams do. We don't have the squad to match this. It's for someone who is accustomed to playing about 60 games a season, he really seems to have an issue with that process.
Yeah, definitely. All I would say though, I'll end, because rather than being a typical United fan and moaning all the time, if we win the Europa Cup, I'll be happy. I'm happy with the League Cup win still.
Well, Robbie Savage said if they win the UEFA Cup, this was on 606, I think. If he wins that, then successful season.
Yeah.
If they lose, failure.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, I personally, I think to not even be in the top 3 is a failure, personally. But everyone starts from somewhere, and I mean, Pep Guardiola struggled this year, and we were expecting bigger things from him.
Yeah.
Mourinho, we knew he was going to play boring football. I mean, if any United fan thought he was going to do something different, they haven't been watching any football.
For sure. Yeah, I was glad to see... I don't know if glad's the right word. I just don't like Manchester City.
Yeah.
And seeing Guardiola kind of come into all that fanfare and just be normal.
Yeah.
You know, it was probably quite satisfying for football fans of maybe like Arsenal or that, who have just seen Barcelona romp everything. Bayern Munich, when he was there, were decent. Obviously didn't win the Champions League, but so all round a successful season for even Blackpool.
Well,
Blackpool, Sunday you've still got a game.
This is something different.
We should have recorded this shit next week.
Yeah, Blackpool on Sunday playoff final. It's Exeter. That's been an interesting one. Lots of protests going on.
Do you think there'll be protests at the final?
Yeah,
or are they gonna,
I think most games had it, and even the game that got us into the playoffs against Leyton Orient, the last game of the season.
Oh, they had the dual protest.
Yeah, dual protest. Yeah. I mean, to sidetrack, but poor Leyton Orient, one of the longest teams in the All Leagues, so it's 130 years of history or something, and they've got into
it's amazing. I tell you, they've just introduced this in Scotland, and it's brilliant. The shit your pants fear that you might get relegated is excellent. I think it's what helped propel my team, Arbroath, to kind of make a bit of an effort, really. And a few teams have. Our perennial rivals, Montrose, have basically they got successful because they built a plastic pitch, I think.
Okay.
They're one of these teams very good on a plastic pitch.
Yeah.
Hard to play against. Actually, I can't substantiate that with fact. I think that's just bitterness that they're finally doing well. But yeah, I see why it's bad. It feels bad when teams of that kind of history go out of the league. But it's brilliant for entertainment value.
Yeah.
Because we're often in that 3rd division in Scotland. Well, 4th division. Fourth division. And it feels a bit MLS.
Yeah.
Or previously no relegation. There was a team, East Stirling, finished bottom for fucking eternity. They're now out of the league, and it was kind of long overdue.
Yeah.
But yeah, to round that up, very successful season for all of us.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think I'd just say on the Blackpool thing, I mean, it's been, obviously we had a huge crash from 2010, 5 years of just dismal. The good thing at the start of this season was we had a full team. That was the first time in 4 years.
Yeah.
I think 7 players we had leaving the Championship and League One, and at the beginning of League Division 2. Gary Bowyer's had an up and down season, topsy-turvy, but...
How weird that he should find himself in all of these clubs that are,
Yeah. But I think, we've made it to the playoffs. We beat Luton, who finished 3rd, and they thrashed us in both games this season. So to win by an own goal, I must admit, in the 96th minute, but we Blackpool.
I would take that in the FA Cup final, and I'm sure you'll take it tonight.
You'll. Who've Arsenal got in the FA Cup?
Chelsea,
that's it. Yeah.
Oh my God! Not only are you virginal on the Scottish game, sod all about the English game.
I'll tell you why, because United aren't in it.
Well,
I lost interest in football.
Well, that's exactly what I said about the Champions League, and will do for the next 10 years. So, Luke, your homework for this section of the podcast was to come up with your top Scottish 11. Now, it has to be players that you've seen.
Yes, that was right. And I also tried not to use the internet to remind myself of the players that I've seen. Jim Leighton, but I never really saw him. I just knew of him in the 90s, because obviously I think he was one of your highest capped people at the time, and a regular starter. Then obviously modern time, Craig Gordon, great goalkeeper, really good.
I always hated him. I didn't think he commanded his box.
Right, but he was a lot younger then. He was a bit like David De Gea, I imagine, a bit flappy when he was younger.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing all right now. And then you'll see a running occurrence in this team with biases. Then there's Matty Juggs.
Okay.
Fantastic at Blackpool.
Great in that Premier League season.
The fact he went from League One to Division 2 to League One. League One to League 2, then back to League 1, then Championship, then Premiership, and
then Rangers.
Then obviously we didn't offer him a contract. He would have stayed at Blackpool, but we didn't offer him a good contract, and he went. It's got to be. Then defenders. These are the 4 I've gone for actually in my back line, and I tried to do right at Scotland, right? So I did 4-4-2 standard.
Just assume they have no feet.
Yeah,
most of them don't.
So I went for right back Alan Hutton.
Because
that's the only right back I could actually think of without researching online. Yeah. But he was a decent player.
Yeah, he's a bomber, I think.
Again, running theme here. Stephen Craney, full legend, brilliant, nice bald head.
What was the biggest team he played for?
Blackpool.
Okay.
Going into the middle, great player. Good. Even at 38, he was good on Champman. David Weir.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Everton and Rangers. So right now we've got Hutton as my right back, Craney as my left back, David Weir, and then the God, as he was a player when he came at 34, and then became manager at Blackpool and was atrocious. I think got us relegated.
I know who you're going with. Yeah, looks like a Glaswegian housewife.
Colin Hendry.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was alright.
Just not a manager, right?
Just not a manager.
Yeah.
Great Euro 96.
Great for Scotland.
Great
for England.
The England-Scotland thing was fantastic.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you kind of underestimate what Blackburn achieved by winning the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in connection, like, what a pivotal part he was.
He was brilliant.
You know, like, he was incredible, man.
Well, it's funny because that season. Oh, it might have been the season after, actually. The Bay Radio in Lancaster were giving away free tickets. So I spent the entire season going to Blackburn Rovers for free.
Oh,
so I got to see Steve McManaman, even Jamie Redknapp was playing before he snapped his leg.
Oh, it was a rare game, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he was early on, right? It was 96, 97. Yeah. So Alan Shearer, obviously, Sutton, Chris Sutton, who's not in my team.
Not Scottish.
Not Scottish, he's English, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He's all over.
Scottish,
he's all over the radio in Scotland now. Well, radio and TV. He's like an outspoken pundit.
Did he play at Celtic for a bit?
Yeah. He was there in the Martin O'Neill team.
Yeah.
I think this is just maybe he was the tail end. You know, when they played Porto in that final. Actually, I don't think he was there then.
Right.
Fuck knows. I can't even remember. Midfield.
Yeah, midfield. Right. So, just not that anyone can see, but my paper is a blank for people to pick in my midfield.
Yeah, there's one selection.
Yeah. So I Scott Brown, good player, brilliant on Chapman as a young prospect player.
Okay.
I think 2004, 2005, something like that. I always bought him, but then sold him, never played him.
Like Mark Kerr.
Yeah. Gary McAllister.
Great shout.
Liverpool. Darren Fletcher, obviously, for United. Again, I said earlier in the podcast I didn't like him when he first started, but he was monumental for United in the mid 2000s. He was fantastic. He got us through. John Collins, Celtic, Monaco, and then moved to England. I think didn't he after that? Fulham. Or
Ladies man.
I think he did a couple of places.
Yeah.
But didn't he score a final goal for Monaco as well? He won them the cup in his first season there. I think won the league and the cup, something like that. I
can't recall.
Barry Fergie.
Good sideways passer of the ball.
Great at Blackpool.
Good. 5-yard pass.
Charlie Adam.
Charlie Adam.
Oh, every Scotsman hates Charlie Adam. But
why?
I don't know. People at Rangers.
I think every Liverpudlian hates Charlie Adam.
Because he was terrible.
Oh yeah, he was shit. Well, he went on loan to, he was young, like you were saying before, but he's young and went away to St Mirren. Suddenly he's playing for Blackpool and he's excellent. That season,
he literally
was it a half season or?
No, he was there for 2 years.
Oh, okay. No, but the Premier League.
Maybe 3 years. Oh, he was just there for the. He ended up at Stoke or something.
Liverpool.
Liverpool and then Stoke was it?
Yeah, good player, man.
Yeah, brilliant for Blackpool.
Good free kick set pieces.
Anyway, so which four would I pick? Let's say Darren Fletcher goes on the right. Let's say Charlie Adam plays as a left. I'm doing that terrible England things of like using Scholes in a position that he would normally play. And then I'd have to go...
If only you had a left winger, right?
Yeah. I didn't put McFadden in as a left. I put him in as an attacker because I think he was more of an attacker. But
that's fucking spoilt that one then when we go on to attackers then.
Gary McAllister, I think has to be in there. A brilliant player. And then
probably my favourite Scotland player that I've seen.
Yeah. And then
that Liverpool season.
Ladies boy, John Collins.
Yeah.
Collins.
Thing with Gary McAllister, right? When he missed that penalty at Euro '96, he never recovered from it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't popular in the Scotland setup. You know, maybe, well, not unanimously popular. And then he had that season at Liverpool, and there was something of a clamour for him to come back, and he's like, fuck yes. There. So what about your attackers?
Attackers, McFadden, I just mentioned him.
Yep.
Ali McCoist.
No place for Chris Martin of Derby.
No place for Chris Martin.
No place for Jordan Rhodes, who I'm not a big fan of.
No place for Jordan Rhodes, the most overpriced
Stephen
championship
Fletcher.
player that's going right now. No place for Stephen Fletcher, although he was there. He's a good player.
It's alright.
Kenny Miller. Fast, quick.
I don't think there's a Scotland fan who would argue with Miller and McFadden as a...
Brian McClare.
Yeah.
And then, you'll see the theme, Keegan Parker.
Now he got injured, is that right? End of career.
He got injured towards the end of career, but very quick, very good on the ball, especially in the lower leagues, as often the quick people are in English football. Scored a hell of a lot of goals and got us promoted. I think he won the Vans with us. I think he won 2 promotions. So
that's your forwards?
Yeah, so my forwards, I think I'd play McFadden. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, Ali McCoist obviously is the kind of guy that you'd put in your team.
Well, you want him there for the banter.
Yeah. What would play well together? I'm not going to put Brian McClare in, you know. I don't even know he's brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to go McCoist and McFadden up front for my 2.
Good shout. I'd have gone with Miller, McFadden maybe. Just because of the important goals they've scored for Scotland.
True.
Yeah. Okay, so this podcast comes at an awkward time. It is the end of the season, so I can't quite brainwash you into liking Scottish football just yet.
Yeah.
One question, any interest in watching the Scottish Cup final with me on Saturday?
Yeah, of course I'll watch it with you.
Okay, so we'll have you back in the podcast again, if anyone actually chooses to watch it. Listen to it. If you do listen to the podcast, it would be great if you could leave some feedback, maybe some comments. You can do that on the Facebook page, which is Not Quite Scottish. And next time we have you on, we'll be talking about Blackpool.
Sure, and I think because it's not quite Scottish, if anyone wants to stay up and watch the Blackpool Exeter game...
What time does it kick off?
It's, in Hong Kong?
Yep.
Probably about 2 or 3 a.m.
Any Scottish interest?
No Scottish interest that I can think of. I need to check that for the next time.
Okay, we'll find out next time, review that next time. But for now, thank you very much, Luke Jenkinson.
Thank you very much, Gavin.
Okay, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.